Last time on the poker vlog.
The flop comes out deuce 7-7, but with two clubs, and those match the suit of the two cards we're holding, so we must be onto something here. And we admire the red nines before just surrendering. 6-9-4 all spades, flopping the nut flush yet again here at the Commerce Casino.
Hey, what up guys? Welcome to another episode of the Poker Vlog. Happy Face Hold'em, I'm Chuck. We're down here today, Hustler Casino in Gardena, California. I've said it before, I'll still say it again. My favorite room in LA to play in. If you haven't ever played here, definitely come do it. They rock the music here. They just got great dealers, great staff, great chairs, great everything. Actually, I just ate kind of dinner before I came out to do this intro. So come check it out when you're in the LA area. We're not far from LAX. Meetup game coming January 9th, right here, 12 to 6. It'll be a 2-3 No Limit Holdem game with a 100 to 500 buy-in cap. It's going to be the West Coast poker vloggers, myself, Eric Fish Poker, Think Blue Poker. We have Doug McCusker coming from Sacramento, and we have Andrew Locke coming out of the Bay Area. All right, as you saw, security is coming to check me out. So thank you, Hustler Casino, for supporting vloggers with your media passes. We really appreciate it. All right. Without further ado, let's get inside, play some 2-5 No Limit Hold'em, and run it up.
Happy New Year to all of you. Good thing we didn't need bail money, although the session might turn out okay in the end. The hijack opens to 15, then the button called. On to us in the small blind. We 3-bet this pot to 65, looking down at pocket 10s with 200 in our stack, after we had already lost a few hands in this 2-5 $300 max game. The hijack calls our 3-bet, and we go heads up to a flop with $155 in this pot. We flop top set on a monotone all-spade board. With an SPR of about 1, I think this is an easy c-bet jam, but I'm skeptical on these monotone boards just based on past experience and not the math. So I opt in the moment to check to the hijack, who was the initial raiser before I 3-bet pre-flop, and he pretty quickly checks back. With the turn coming in the jack of clubs, I've been given the green light to bet now that he checked, and put in the rest of my 129, although doubtful I'll get paid off, unless he's specifically holding the ace of spades or maybe the king. We're looking forward to meeting a ton of you down here at the Hustler Casino on January 9th at the West Coast Poker Vloggers Meetup game. I have a special gift for anyone that shows me they're a subscriber with notifications on, so be sure to hit me up. Pretty much as expected, the hijack cannot make the call and ultimately lays his hand down, but we're happy to get some back and scoop this pot. A seat change was in order, the first of many in this session, and there were two limpers ahead of me before looking down at Queen Jack suited in the heart variety. This is definitely a hand we're raising, and make it 25 to go since we had those two limpers ahead of us. The small blind does something I don't see often in these LA 2-5 games. He puts in a 3-bet to $75. These games play pretty passively overall, and it's rare to have a player 3-bet pre-flop. So with him in the small blind, out of position, the other players that limped give him credit and they make the fold. And when it gets around to me, being in position, I didn't raise just to fold. So I make the call, hoping to flop well and just get it all in on the flop. Or if I sense any weakness from him after his 3-bet. We go heads up, ace 9 3 flop with only one heart. Not really ideal for our hand against a small blind who was aggressive pre-flop. What he does next, I think all the ace rag suited hands do, ace king, ace queen, and jacks plus, and he c-bets quite large for this pot. I would do this if I had a monster, but also felt that my opponent connected well on this board. But in either case, there's nothing I can do but fold with not enough money in our stacks to even try to bluff him off something like kings. So on to the next hand we go. We open pre-flop action to 15 from under the gun, looking down at a hand I find super sexy, 7-8 suited in spades. Not that I've ever had any good luck with this hand. These suited connectors can play really well, and as you know, I have big dreams. I added on 100 before this hand started. +1 makes the call, and +2 decides on a weird size 3-bet to $40. This is basically a min click with one caller in between us. The other players fold, and the action comes back around to me. I would generally just fold, but assuming +1 will also make the call, I have some implied odds, and I think that it's okay to make the call here. The downside though, playing the hand out of position multi-way. And the other player does make the call. So we have $125 in the pot, and we see a flop 3 ways, which comes queen 6 deuce, but no spades. And that sexy looking 7-8 of spades now looks like my coffee stained 20-year-old coffee mug. we check to play and flow, and +2 c-bets, quickly bringing this hand to an end. If you ever make it over to the Hustler Casino, they have very professional staff. The dealers here are top class and keep the games running very smooth and quickly, unlike some other rooms in town. I suggest you come play here. This time on the button, we see a limp from 2 players to act before us, and we look down at another suited connector. This time, 10-9 of hearts. This looks like a good candidate to raise with, so we go $35, and that's enough to take it down. Just a typical poker session, trying to take advantage of any situation we can. Now looking down at pocket 5s at another new table. Under the gun open 15, we flatted from +2 and both blinds defend, taking us 4 ways to a flop with $60 in the middle. Sometimes you're the windshield and sometimes you're the bug. And we are absolutely the windshield, flopping a full house on a 5-9-9 rainbow board. We check, and unfortunately the action, it's going to check all the way through. So off to a free turn. It comes off as the 8 of spades, and this time the big blind takes the lead, and he decides to bet half pot. We're really happy to see Under the Gun make the call, because now there's $120 in the pot, and we have a 2-to-1 stack to pot ratio, or SPR. On a paired board, it's likely one of these players holds a 9, and the 8 completed the 6-7 straight, so it's time to rip it all in. Sure, we could be up against pocket 8s or a hand like 8-9 suited, but there's only one combo of that left, so I'm pretty confident I have the best hand. Now we just hope to get a call in at least one of these places. We're super excited to see Under the Gun make the call, and he was the initial raiser that started this hand. So off to the river. It comes off a brick, and we turn over our full house for this almost $500 pot, and Under the Gun rolls over 6-7 suited of spades. Just wait, in a few hands, you'll see one of our biggest vlog punts yet with that same hand, 6-7. The dealer pushes his rack our way, and we're getting things back on track for this session. Now looking down at Ace-10 suited from Under the Gun with $500 in our stack, we open the betting action to $15. The low jack makes the call. +2 wants a piece and calls. The button isn't deterred and makes the call. So we go 4 ways to a $65 flop. It comes Ace-3 Queen with 2 clubs. In the moment, I lead for $25, although on a board texture like this, I think $50 is better to charge for those flush draws. The action makes its way around to the button, who makes the call pretty quickly for $25. So we go heads up off to the turn with 115 in the pot, and the turn peels off another club. Pretty quickly I check, and he makes a bet, leaving himself very little behind, which tells me the rest is going in, and likely he drilled the flush. I snap fold, and we're just going to move on and look for a better spot. And this just might be that spot, because in +1 we look down at our favorite hand, 6-4 suited. I think we're 75% on the vlog winning with it, so let's raise the $15 with $375 behind. +2 makes the easy call, he probably knows what we're holding. The button calls, followed by the small blind, and shockingly the big blind actually folds. So out of position again with only our favorite hand and a dream and $65 in the middle. I'm beginning to be grateful that I didn't need bail money. The flop, it comes Ace-9-10 rainbow. Trying to rep all the aces, which I should have, I c-bet to $20. 2 of the players get out of the way because they know that 6-4 is just the nuts. Sometimes. But the button makes the call. So going to a turn, we actually improve to a flush draw with the 8 of diamonds. This time we check. Why? Not what I should have done. But it's what I did, and the button checks behind. So off to the river. It comes off a deuce of spades. I'm going for it on the river, and I bet 2/3 pot or so, $65. I'm not snapped off, so definitely put the button in a tough spot. Looking back, a bigger bet may have gotten the job done for us, as he ultimately makes the call after almost a minute in the tank. I simply say, nice call, and he exposes 2 pair, 9-8. Okay, down to 50% with our favorite hand on the vlog. Another table change. There's a $10 straddle from Under the Gun. 6 callers, and back to the straddler. He raises to $85. This could be a squeeze of opportunity, or it could be pocket aces. I take a moment to process all the action and decide, regardless of either possibility, I'm making the call with this speculative hand. I warned you about this one, 6-7 suited. I started with 250, so on any board connection, I'm going for it on the flop. So we're heads up with 220. We flop pretty good on 6 king queen. Bottom pair and a flush draw, we shove our 165 behind in what appears to be about a 60-40 spot, and he snaps it off. Now 550 in the middle. Let's go to a run out. 10 of hearts, no improvement, and an ace of hearts, no improvement. We announce a pair of sixes and roll over our hand to see ace 10 of diamonds from him. Guess we were more like a 45-55 dog on the flop. Okay, let's just forget that ever happened and move along. To king 4 suited. Late position open to 35. There were 3 callers, so we defend in the small blind after rebuying for another 300. Flop comes out jack, deuce, 9, rainbow, and we check from the small blind, and the action will continue to check all the way around to the cutoff. And he bets $30, which feels like a pretty standard c-bet to me. After the button decides to make the call, I consider if I should continue or not. Let's assess. 1 over, a backdoor flush draw, and down on the day. Let's try to force it, so we make the call. Going to a turn with 215 in the pot and 3 players in the hand, we get the 7 of hearts, and with no added equity, it's time to surrender, and we check. And the action proceeds to check all the way through. Very interesting. Okay, off to a free river card then. The river completes a flush and gives us top pair when we see the king of hearts. The action checks the button, and I'll probably have to call any reasonably sized river bet, and a bet of $85 from the button is a little more than I'm comfortable with. But with the way I'm playing today, is there any reason to fold? Of course not. We make the call. Well, he didn't have the flush. We read that one right. But what he does have is 2 pair with top pair on the flop and the king on the river. So here we are, another new table, and we open the action at $15 because we like our hand. Let me show you. Pocket 10s. We're in under the gun and won a little back and have 305 in our stack. Plus 1, 3 bets to $45. He's what we call a lag, a loose aggressive player. Now, the cutoff decides to jam his remaining $100 stack, and it's now back onto us. I think both a 5-bet shove and call are okay. I can't imagine folding in this spot, so we just flat the 100. Back onto our lag in plus 1. He doesn't snap this one off, and ponders his action for a little bit. I would expect an aggressive player to overjam quickly with a monster, so it's interesting as I sit here and watch him think. He does ultimately decide to jam and shoves his $300 in, and based on his pondering, I'm not giving him credit for much and snap call, hoping to get a little back on the day. No more betting action with $700 up for grabs. Let's go. The flop is, well, good. Paired and all small. We boat up on the turn and the river boats up the board, which we have beat. We roll over our pair and we will scoop the side pot, and then the cutoff shows ace-8 offsuit, and we'll scoop the main as well. Feels good to be on the right side of variance once in a while. Alright, let's go into the last hand for the vlog and hope to keep the variance on the plus side. Don't forget to stay tuned to find out what's coming up on the next episode of Happy Face Hold'em. We look down at 10-9 suited from the small blind after under the gun opened to $20. Let's make the call and see a flop, but not before the big blind defends, so we have $45 in the middle and 3 ways. We flop top pair with a weak kicker on a pretty wet 10-6-5 2-diamond board. The action checks under the gun and he rips in the balance of his little stack. The big blind is the lag from the last hand. I'd like to protect my top pair and get him out of the hand, so I put in a raise to $75. Our lag ponders this one for a long time, like he did before. Now in between the last hand we shared and this hand, he flopped 3 flush draws and he got there every time. And this looks like no exception as he decides to make the call. With 225 in and heads up in a side pot betting, the turn completes the front door flush, and I quickly realize that the only way I stand to win this pot is to put in a bet, and I double barrel for $75, trying to make it look like a value bet. The big blind is undeterred, and after very little thinking, he makes the call. Variance is surely not on our side as we go off to the river and see a 4th diamond. I don't think I can fire a 3rd barrel. I chicken out. I surrender. I check. The big blind, he jams his remaining 400, and I have to fold. He shows 8-5 diamonds, getting there on the turn, and possibly could have jammed and gotten him off of that. We end up playing for another 2 hours without the camera and turn a small profit on the day. Not a bad way to end.
Next time on Happy Face Holdem.
A tournament run for the final table, we're put in a tough spot with pocket 10s on the river. Can we make the call? Then, we try to pull off a bluff with 8 high on a paired board in a blind versus blind situation. And 2 away from the money, we raise a premium, but get jammed on. What do we do? Don't forget to wash your hands, and we'll see you on the next one.